What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Switch Talk, the perfectly pocket-sized podcast where we discuss the hybrid console that has stolen our hearts and minds, the Nintendo Switch. Welcome back. I want to thank you, every single one of our listeners, for tuning in. We have a good time doing this, don't we, David?
I like to think we do.
I'm sad to announce that Clay had a little equipment mishap, so he will not be joining us. But I am here with my other illustrious co-host, none other than David Jones. How are you doing today, David?
Pretty good. And what's really fantastic is that I have not played the game we're reviewing. So we'll see how well this goes.
And that's pretty much the idea. I mean, we want to have somebody now come at this from the role of the uninformed potential buyer. And I think that that's just how you do it, isn't it? Like the conversation with friends,
right?
Saying, look, I have limited time, I have limited money, is this worth it? And I'm going to tell you right now, David, if you don't buy this game, you will die.
That seems like perhaps a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't know. It just sounds like it just a little bit.
I don't mean to exaggerate at all, but your life will end. No, seriously, this game is surprisingly great. We're talking today about WarGroove from developer-publisher Chucklefish. Now, I don't know if you know this, David, but the pedigree is pretty good here. Chucklefish has come out with a game called Starbound that got pretty high reviews across Metacritic. It's like a side-scrolling Minecraft in space type thing, which is pretty interesting. They also were helping the creator of Stardew Valley before get his game out, Stardew, and I think he just, very recently, broke off to do the publishing himself. He didn't need it. So Chucklefish, I mean, it seems like it's coming from a fairly small team. I wanted to do just a little bit of research to give them their due because, like I said, this game is very well received. It's not just me saying that it's worth a pickup. It's sitting, WarGroove is sitting at an 86 on Metacritic, and just, it's incredible. Like, I think that this is the type of game that could serve well from a demo. I think it's already gotten a big push from being featured in the Nintendo Nindy Directs, and it's a long time coming. I think at the end of every Switch Talk episode, we would say, or at least I would be the one to bring it up, hey, where's WarGroove? Like, it went radio silent for so long, but it doesn't disappoint. So, I mean, the basic premise, right, David? You've seen, trailers, you've seen the directs.
Yeah. It kind of looks, from what I've seen, it looks kind of like Advanced Wars and Fire Emblem smashed together.
Exactly. And you love Fire Emblem.
I wouldn't say I love it. I'm casual fan. I've played some of the titles, but I've never actually completed one of the games because they're so long and hard. But
yeah, it's particularly challenging, that series, and it's the same thing here. Like the strategy turn-based game genre, I think needed this spin. Just getting back to the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, a lot of people compare it to Advanced Wars, and they've even said, it's a spiritual successor. It's just undeniable. And I think that the main reason to pick up a game like this is if you're a fan of the genre, because it does it so well. So have your different factions fighting, and then your different generals, and they have their different WarGroove abilities that can revive people. They can set up barriers, heal, I should say. They can teleport a unit, different things like that. And the different win conditions is usually capturing the one stronghold base or killing the other general. And it's surprising to me how basic it is. Like right away when I started playing it, I was telling myself, okay, what is it bringing to the table that's really new? And in reality, it's really not too much. Again, they have the WarGroove abilities. They have their own, medieval art style that they're going for. But other than that, it doesn't do anything that's too crazy surprising. But at the same time, the simplicity really grows on you once you begin to play. You get this feeling like, oh, am I going to enjoy this? And then something just clicks. I've heard it, Sean Capri was playing it against me on stream, and he said the same thing. Luke Lore, he was saying the same thing. You just play, and then you just get addicted. So generally, you haven't played too much turn-based strategy then, you said then.
I've played stuff here and there. I mean, I've played Mario Rabbids, I've played some XCOM, and some PC turn-based games. And I've played both Fire Emblem and Advanced Warfare, or Advanced... Is it called Advanced Warfare? Yeah, Advanced Warfare, but I've just never completed any of them. But I'm familiar with the genre.
Well, my goal is to convince you to get the game, and I only have a few minutes left. So what I'm going to do is tell you this. What's your biggest reservation? Like, when you look at the game, what is it doing for you or not doing for you? Besides generally probably, the genre, anything that it could...
I guess it's like, I think why play this when I still haven't beat all these Advanced Warfare and Fire Emblem games? I guess what does it do better than those more, top tier Nintendo franchises? How does this compare?
Well, I'm glad you asked, David, because right away, I don't know if you ever heard of this little thing called the Switch. Okay? So it's a really amazing system. The handheld, the capability of it being just on the go is incredible. And I think that we have had that, like you said, in the past. I mean, you have the mobile Fire Emblem option, but it's just so well made. There's such a charming style to it. There's so many modes that are conducive to the pick up and play. From the Switch perspective, it's just excellent. And then you couple that with it being cross-play. So it's not on PlayStation yet. Eventually, supposedly, is what they're saying it's going to be coming. But right now, you could be on PC, you can be on Xbox, and you could jump into multiplayer matches, even asynchronous, where you can go in and do one move just like you would in chess, and then somebody come back and then make their one move, and it would take longer to play out. But it's a very interesting option for when you can't play with friends and you can't get schedules to sync up and stuff. So right off the bat, it has surprisingly excellent online options. Now, don't get me wrong, the Nintendo online infrastructure, usually we haven't had any glowing reviews come out from the Switch's online capabilities, but it does have that crossplay and it works very well. I was able to, like I said, play with Sean, and he was on PC. I think it was on PC. I gave him the code, the lobby code, and we were able to enter a match, and it was just seamless and excellent. Good connection and everything, no drops. You have an online quick play where you can play against random opponents, and then right now Chucklefish has said that they are tracking their ranking, and they're possibly introducing rank play in the future, because obviously there's going to be a competitive scene that's already clamoring for some type of matchmaking based on skills. So that's pretty interesting. So right away, I think it's delivering a full package, and it's a $20 game. So even though you have other things to play, I think it's so addicting. There's something so charming, there's something so well made about it that it deserves your time. And I can say that without reservation. I mean, I don't want to waste your money. You know that, right? Except for making you buy Fallout 76. But yeah, I mean, how does that all sound to you? Tell me I'm whetting your appetite a little bit, man. Tell me I'm...
No, I am curious to try it just because it's so well reviewed, and it could be an interesting tide over until Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I think also looks fantastic, and I'm really excited about that because of the, I guess, improvements to the graphics, which is something I've wanted in these type of games for the longest time. But yeah, it does seem charming. I think the ability to have the codes and crossplay and all that stuff seems kind of neat. But I guess it just hasn't lit my fire the way it has for you guys. Both you and Clay were so incredibly excited. Now it's just oh, that looks like a fun indie game. But you guys were just chomping at the bit for it. So yeah, I'm curious. I'd try it for sure. I just haven't really had time yet. I might pick it up at some point. But yeah, it's just been busy, and I've had a bunch of other games I've been playing. So, but yeah, it looks good enough, and it's got good enough reviews that I might swing by it at some point and give it a whirl. So
I got that information on Chucklefish that I wanted to talk about before. So it says on their site under their story tab, we're an independent games developer and publisher based in London, UK, with a love of charming pixel art and a drive to support and create amazing games. So it says here that they released in Steam Early Access Starbound in 2014. This is only their second game, and now they're at a very large 18 person staff, 18 full person staff. So that's pretty amazing that they were able to do that.
awesome.
The art style is, the pixel. It's very well made. There's very subtle animations, and you're battling. You can see like little seagulls or whatever, some birds like slowly float above the float above the battlefield, like traveling south for the
that's
winter or
cool.
whatever. There's a lot of cool things like that. The voice work is not fully voiced. It's mainly cutscenes in the campaign with just voiceover that's little bits. So like you have this one main enemy that's always like, ha ha, just like making a shout, and then they just kind of keep going. Or it's all like, I'm so and so, just like, and then they just keep going with the text and continue it. But it's been said that it's very well done, so it kind of does keep your attention and carries you. Another standout aspect of the game is the campaign. So there's interesting scenarios where win conditions, usually is kill, but sometimes it's like escape the battlefield. You have no chance of winning. Different things like that. And of course, over the campaign, you're unlocking the new units, learning more as they give you more access, defeating other generals, learning bit by bit, and then it does a very good job in the menus of teaching you strategies as well, so you can kind of just read up about different units. So I think it's, like I said, a full package. The last thing that has to be said is the modes are such that there's a very unique campaign or map editor, so you can just build one map. I have some footage, if we do the video version of this, where I speed up me creating a map, and it's actually really intuitive. You can, place the units and create the biome and the weather and all that, wind conditions, and it adds a lot. You can share those online, and toward the end of the footage in the episode, I'm going to have a campaign that is highly rated, because you can user rate other people's creations, and I played through some of that. It's really interesting. The addicting part of it, I mean, David, I really can't tell you what makes it so great, because it's a very simple game.
Right.
It just doesn't play out, the same way twice as far as I've seen. There's just so much to do. The campaign editor, like I said, very deep, a little bit more intimidating there, where you can link multiple maps and literally create your own story-based campaign, complete with cutscenes and animations. And they say, the developer said, that they've used that same tool to make the actual main campaign of the game. So they're giving you all the abilities to do what they did. And I'm sure there's going to be some crazy stuff coming out of it. Did you have any other questions about the game? Anything else that could, maybe you didn't know going in? I know I was able to kind of give you a big overview.
I think you've kind of went over pretty much anything I could ask. I mean, the main question I had was obviously going to be, how does this stack up against Advanced Warfare and Advanced Wars and Fire Emblem, which is, the two probably things that's going to get compared to the most. And I think you've already kind of went over that. So, yeah, that's all I really got.
I don't know. I think that the price point puts it over the edge. If you're listening, if you're on the edge and you say, hey, I'm not really sure, I would say that there's enough there that $20 is a steal. Chucklefish had a Reddit AMA, and people were asking a number of things, and one of the questions they addressed was, why is it $20? Why aren't you charging $40? This seems like it's a little better quality, a lot more there just than, the typical indie release. And they spoke pretty candidly about trying to get it into people's hands, trying to make sure that people were going to give it a shot and getting it out there. It's been well received, so they also talked about doing, different DLC and what that'll entail. I'm not sure, but they seem pretty on board with supporting the game in the long term. So that was pretty good. I have a couple headlines here. This is from hilltopmonitor.com, just talking about WarGroove's PlayStation 4 release. It says that it's still up in the air. So just, again, I'm not going to read through articles. You can go ahead and do that if you want. But WarGroove's coming to the PlayStation 4, but we're still not sure when. I think people are going to want to get their hands on this title just like other indies that eventually migrate anywhere. The big question there is going to be, is it PlayStation is one of the reasons why this isn't happening, PlayStation's resistance to play nice. You know what I mean?
Crossplay, yeah. I honestly would not be surprised if that was the reason. They only really made that exception for Fortnite after tons of, public outcry. So, yeah, they seem to be pretty resistant to that type of thing.
I think it would be really on topic just kind of mentioning that we're sitting here after hearing that in some way Xbox Live could potentially be on a lot more platforms, including Switch. When you heard about that, what did you think, David?
I mean, I honestly wasn't surprised just because of what they've been doing in Minecraft already. Like, I kind of figured that this was more of their plan, was to have Xbox Live be the platform, not necessarily the Xbox. Mm-hmm. And, Xbox is just, it's the flagship way to interact with Xbox Live. It doesn't necessarily have to be the only one.
And then, they don't explicitly say it, but I think we're all clamoring for not just continued support for crossplay, but specifically with the Xbox Live, if they could give us that chat infrastructure, to just use their services in conjunction with the Switch, that would be pretty fantastic. I mean, they already mentioned achievements and some other pretty nuts things that are missing from the Switch platform, but I mean, what are the chances that Nintendo would embrace and say, hey, we got these deficiencies here, we're gonna let them fill those gaps? I mean,
I don't think they'll go that far, just because they would have to bake so much of Xbox Live services into the OS. I think maybe on like Microsoft published games, maybe we could see like a login to some Xbox Live voice service, but I have a hard time seeing that would like populate over Nintendo's first party titles as well.
You can't underestimate the value of good multiplayer online experiences. I say all the time to you and Clay when we're off the air, I'm like, I want to play more games with you guys. And when we were playing Minecraft with Clay, where I was on the Switch, he was on the Xbox, I got that magical feeling, and that magic feeling is there when I'm on WarGroove and I'm able to tell all these people on different platforms, like, hey, Xbox, here's the code. Let's jump into a 2-man, 3-man, 4v4, 4-on-4 game, a 4-player multiplayer game. It's just, when it gets seamless and it gets easy like this, it makes games better. The overall experience is heightened. So the value of WarGroove, for me, goes up because they've embraced that, at least, from the dev side and from Xbox, Nintendo, PC, it's all working. And it's working really well. A couple more headlines and we'll wrap it up. So apparently, Chucklefish has said that the WarGroove has sold so well that in the first 3 days of release, the game has broke even. So they were able to recoup the development of the game in 3 days, which is excellent.
That's awesome.
If you check the online store, it's on the top selling. It was in the one spot at some point, I believe. If not, definitely it was in the top 3. I remember because I was like pretty shocked. Couple other headlines here. This one from Kotaku. Players are making Advance Wars and Fire Emblem maps inside of WarGroove.
What? That's cool.
The editor, man, it's so crazy. I mean, to even just think that you could do that, that's going to add so much. I mean, you could, I guess, make an Advance Wars campaign like in WarGroove.
Yeah, that's actually, I think, the most interesting thing of everything you've talked about is the map editor, and if it can be like a Super Mario Maker of tactical role-playing games, that's kind of cool. So
I'm trying to sweeten it. I'm trying to make it so sweet, so sweet that you gotta put in your mouth. You gotta put in your mouth, man. Yeah. So there was this whole article on Kotaku's talking about how there's changes obviously between the games, like the units and all that. But otherwise, it's spot on with the editor, and they have like different clips and all that. There are an online browser again where you can see user created maps and campaigns, and I just love the rating system there. So you can kind of sort out the garbage, and then just get those that people are just obviously gonna go really deep, and do that. I think one more here. Let's see here. Well, there's a lot of how-tos. Basically, Chucklefish has been really good about teaching players what to do, how to use this very deep editor, and it's just very exciting. So if you're out there, if you're listening, WarGroove is a highly recommend. If Clay was here, he'd be helping me. he'd be trying to get you over the line. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome. $20. Get it on the eShop. You know what, David? If it had a physical release, you'd get it, right? If you could get a box.
I'd be more likely to, because I love the cartridges. I must collect the things. I do. Maybe it'll come to limited run. Honestly, I bet you it'll get a physical release. It's gotta, if it's popular. Almost all the popular ones get cartridge releases, so maybe I'll hold out for the cartridge.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in to this short and sweet episode of Switch Talk. We highly recommend WarGroove. We encourage you to harass David Jones on Twitter until he buys the game. Thank you for joining us, everybody.